Christ is risen. All of us here in Ukraine would like to greet you with the resurrection of Christ. We here are still waiting one more week until our Easter, but we are glad that we are all united in prayer at this difficult time. In today's Easter Gospel, we hear of Mary Magdalene going to the tomb of Jesus and then John and Peter following her steps. In the Gospel of Mark, we hear of the women as they prepared for this trip to the tomb of Jesus. The myrrh-bearing women who had prepared the spices to anoint Jesus, to do this one final good deed for him. And in the early hours, when it was still dark, started on this hard trip to the tomb of Jesus, talking about how they would overcome the great rock which would block their path. In this world, we feel this darkness sometimes on our hearts. We feel that the sun hasn't come up yet, and how will we overcome the tragedy that has formed this rock between us and God? And yet we set out on this path together, through our prayers, through community, through the support we offer each other. We walk on this path thinking, how can we overcome the adversity which stands between us and God? How can we overcome the adversity that awaits us on every step we take? How can we get to the tomb to meet the risen Christ? And yet we go forward. Just as the myrrh-bearing women, we too understand that perhaps we don't have the strength to overcome this. Perhaps relying on ourselves, we would fail. And yet we can't rely only on ourselves. We rely on God and we keep moving forward, knowing that the risen Christ is waiting for us. Knowing that perhaps we don't understand how, but when we get there, finally, the rock will miraculously have been moved out of the way. And that is the hope that Jesus gives each one of us. That as long as we do everything we can, everything that is in our strength, as long as we put in that 99% of effort that we can, when we fall short at that last second, when at that last second we lack strength for even one more step, that is when God will come in and do what is needed. That is when He will take over and finish the task which we could not any longer do. And so let us unite in prayer and in hope, knowing that we are going uphill. We are going through something that it cannot be passed through. We are going towards a task that is beyond our human capabilities. Finding some happiness in that we are not going alone, and finding hope in the fact that Jesus is waiting for us on the other side. And as long as we walk our path, we know He will help us see it through to the end. And in this hope, we say to you, Christ is risen. And may He rise for each one of us. May He move away these horrible obstacles that stay in the path, especially for those who need it most. And may we unite in prayer that those who are in their bleakest moment, right before that sun rises, right before that sun shines a light on the empty tomb of Jesus, that they may have the strength to take those last steps to see the risen Christ. Amen.